We'd just like to welcome everyone to our first little, what are we calling this?
Still open for suggestions.
Yeah. No, Martin and Gerda from Profound have put together a coping and staying motivated during times of uncertainty workshop for us today. So the WBTA have been able to put together 5 different workshops. More details will follow on that, but that's mainly through funding we received from Wyndham Council through the grants process. So we've decided to put that to good use for our members. So I'd just like to thank Kim Carter, our secretary, for pulling all this together. She's done a power of work in the background. So thank you, Kim. And without any further ado, I'll pass over to Martin and we can get a start. There'll be there should be some other people coming in, but
awesome.
We'll get a move on.
Thank you very much, Darren. And yes, we're certainly going to keep an eye out for the waiting room. We can now let them in at any time, as I said before. And thank you very much for having me and for the introduction, Darren. So I'm really excited to spend the next couple of hours in the company of the WBTA community. And to start off, let me just quickly share the screen with you. As I said, probably we came a long way with Zoom, but there's a few handy hints here just in case throughout the session. With the numbers we have today, I think it's very easy just to put your hand up if there's any questions, or maybe even take yourself off mute. I'm sure we can manage with the numbers. But if you are doing something else in the background, as Sharon said, with having a small child, just use the chat box as well. Kim maybe keeps an eye on there. And if there's any important questions, we're going to answer that. So I can hear a few dogs barking in the background.
That's mine.
No, that's all good. So in that case, I maybe ask just to just mute yourself for the time being until you want to say something, and I'll just take you off mute as we go along. Really important. And this session will be also recorded and shared with you to the WBTA community, so you can reflect and build on the learnings from today. Now, as Darren said, the topic here today really is coping and staying motivated during times of certainty. And I would love to all welcome you for this session. We have 2 hours together, and I always acknowledge how much wisdom and knowledge is on the call. So I'm not intending just to talk to you for 2 hours, make this really engaging and interactive, and really share all your insights with us on how we can cope a bit better through those times of uncertainty. And I know most of the people, so it's great to see you. But for the ones who don't know me yet, I just want to give you a mercifully short introduction to myself. My name is Martin, and as you can see, I'm working in the area of human-centered leadership for quite a while. And I'm certainly feeling very honored to have had the opportunity to share my thoughts and ideas in so many different platforms nationally, but also internationally, and even receive a few awards along the way. But that's not why we're here today. We are really here to spend the next couple of hours and to hear more about yourself. And I think we can all agree that life certainly has changed big time since the beginning of the year. We had a bit of that incident with the toilet paper that certainly provoked some discussions around the whole world. But I really would like to, before we get into the topic, like to know, where are you up to? What are the challenges you may face at the moment? That gives us a bit of a starting ground for further conversations. And who would like to go first? I just hand that over to you. Let's see if somebody puts their hand up. Lisa, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Go for it.
I've registered my cleanup group, Love Our Streets 3030, which is part of the Werribee River Association. and basically all the sort of volunteer activities were sort of stopped. And that's it, you know, it's just like dead as a doornail. But I have been sort of trialling how to do it safely within the current conditions and feeling very motivated, and even getting up to the stage of organising a meeting to network more widely with existing volunteers and anyone else who's sort of interested in that simple way of picking up litter and keeping our streets clean and tidy. So onward and upward from here.
Beautiful,
But it
beautiful.
took a while.
And it's actually something, you're speaking from my heart here. It's something that we do quite often as well. We're going for a bike ride, we're going for a walk, and quite often we just have a bag with us and we just pick up stuff. Unfortunately, there's quite a few bits and pieces lying around, especially along the creek. Depends on how much water we get down there. And such a great idea. So thanks for sharing, Lisa. Who else would like to share? Where are you up to? What are the challenges you face currently?
I'm more from Quest Werribee. I think for us, the challenges is when the first lockdown was there, we still had, so if I put it in a way that if you have a goal or a destination that you want to reach, you can keep yourself motivated and keep other people because you know where you want to reach. But now with the second lockdown, what we are having challenge within a team or within our team is we don't have that end goal. So it's quite challenging to keep everybody motivated every day without a goal where we want to reach. Yes, we want to get through this together, but the question is when. And that's when is every day without knowing, is it a month, 1 year, 2 years, even if it was 10 years, if you knew it was 10 years, that's how we have a goal to reach. So that's how the momentum goes. But that's what the challenge I'm having, or we are having here, is we don't have an end goal. Is when is it going to end? And that's what I'm having challenge here, is to keep them motivated. Yes, we have to reach there. If the question comes back to me where we want to reach, I do not know at the moment. So that's a bigger challenge we're having here. Is thank God we still have managed to have all the staff intact on board as of yet. But I think the point that for me is now, it's not about just keeping them now, it's just keeping the momentum going and keep them motivated. That's where the challenge we're having is not having that end goal, and that's the date. And nobody knows, but I think that's what we are facing within a team is there's not that conversation is, okay, how long are we going to do this for?
Yeah, who can relate to this? Way too much uncertainty. It's kind of difficult to plan a bit. So let me ask you that question. What are people really craving right now? What is it? Just in a word, what do you think is what people really crave?
I think someone to talk to. That's how I take it. Is talking is the key for us as a team. Is sometimes not necessarily it's about work. Something personal could be, but someone to talk to be able to relate. Everyone is going through the same thing. That's what key we're getting as a team, because now it's for me as a leader here is to ensure that they have someone to talk to that they could relate. It's just not them. Everybody's in the same page. It's just a matter of in what scale people are impacting. Some people are impacting a larger scale, and some in a smaller scale. But whoever's impacting a smaller scale may be larger for them in their parameter. So that's what we're doing here is talking. That's a key message now is let's talk. Yes, we do not know when it's going to end, but let's talk. Let's talk what's bothering each other. And that's the best thing to do. That's how I feel. And it's what the message is at the moment.
It is well said. Let's talk and also let's listen.
Yeah.
There's this beautiful saying, we have 2 ears and 2 eyes and only 1 mouth because we should observe and listen twice as much as we speak. So I love that. It's based on Confucius, who said the two eyes and one mouth, the two ears and one mouth, but the eyes with observing is really important as well. So from my end, and working with a lot of human beings, we all social creatures, we all need that connection, Amal, as you said, the connection, the communication, the touch, the feeling is quite often taken away, especially people who maybe live by themselves. So kinesthetic people, as we call them, who have quite a big need for hugging and warmth and the human connection. Certainly there's a few challenges to stay motivated. And while I appreciate that technology cannot solve human problems, I believe it is an absolutely great tool to maintain that connection as we're doing it right now. So from my end as well, let me take that opportunity to say thank you very much to all of you for having me, for Kim for organizing it. And I think it's a really great opportunity to talk. Yeah. Darren, I think you took yourself off mute there as well. Did you wanted to add something before? Let me see if I can take him off mute. You're still muted, yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm probably in a slightly different situation to a lot of people in that I'm not actually living in Werribee at the moment. I'm on the other side of the bay at Port Allington and taken on a new role as the manager of the motel, which is, as Amal would be aware, is empty. There's a little bit more freedom over this side. It's only in stage 3, but just finding that the lack of social contact with people, being able to get together and have dinner and talk, and Zoom meetings are fine and phone calls are fine, but yeah, and just not being able to see your kids is really hard. So
it is indeed. Yeah. So let me maybe share a bit of a curve with you, and I think we can all agree that there are different phases and there are positives and negatives. Sometimes, yeah, there's a disappointment that we can't see the kids. Some of us maybe are a bit scared about the financial outlook because, yes, it certainly had a huge impact on businesses, thinking about hospitality, retail, tourism, and many other ones, of course, as well. There are a lot of negative impacts, but also we may be happy to reduce traveling time. I remember the end of last year, especially with council, talking about traveling time to the city and the freeway are blocked up. So there's also an opportunity perhaps to spend a bit more family time by working from home. So there's a few different things. And I would like to share with you a bit of a curve that's not the coronavirus curve, just to be very clear. That's more an emotional intelligence curve, which I would like to share with you, of how we go through a different curve when we are exposed to unprecedented times. And I think we can all agree it starts with a shock. So that's the first instance we're experiencing a shock, a feeling, oh, I can't believe what just happened. And I think a lot of us experienced this stage when the, the Formula One race here in Melbourne was cancelled. It was actually, I can recall it, it was the 13th of March. All of a sudden, it became very real because we realized, hang on, something is actually different here. And to share my personal experience, the week after, we couldn't stop the flood of email cancellations coming through. And it was really shocking because everything we worked for so hard for the last year, booking keynote speaking gigs at national conferences, workshops, seminars, you name it, it was just wiped off the table within a week. And I was, to be honest, I didn't even want to open up the email anymore. I said, I get it, just give me a bit of a break here. So how did I cope with the shock? I think I went actually into the second phase, and you might be able to relate. I went into a bit of denial. denial of thinking, well, it's just a media stunt. It can't be really that difficult or that hard. They're just pushing everything out of proportion. Surely that's just another ridiculous thing they're talking about just to fill the newspaper and so on. But we came actually quite quickly then to the realization that there is a threat, the COVID-19 in other words, and we went into frustration mode. Frustration mode kicked in because I just didn't know how to deal with the whole situation. Couldn't keep up with the energy. It was just kind of lost, kind of a thing of almost feeling hopeless of, okay, what do I gonna do? Joel, he said, no, Amol said before, the goal, the vision was kind of taken away. We didn't know anymore, where do we fit in? What is the future gonna bring? Why are we actually doing all the work? So that was a bit of a low point. And there was actually for a second, which I really didn't know for a long time how it feels, but there was a bit of boredom. I just didn't know what to do with myself. Who can relate to that? Yeah. So there's a bit of a boredom. It's like, well, my purpose almost is taken away. So here is all this time, what do I going to do with myself? And that was quite a low energy point. And at this stage, as I said, I had no idea what else we could actually do or how the business going to look like. Do we even have a business in 12 months time? So the whole vision was taken away. Luckily, we came through terms very quickly and recognized that so far that change had actually a very negative impact on us. And the ironic part of it was actually that we realized that something had to change. So we started to shift our mindset from problem to, okay, what can we actually do? How can we bring it up again? And we started to accept that there is change. Coming to terms with the new situation, say, well, it is what it is, accept the change, that's what we have to now deal with. And as you can see, this is where the curve is starting to go up again. This is where we start to ask ourselves high quality questions. And we talk about that a bit more further down the track. But questions that were now not problem-based, they were actually solution-based, where we said, okay, what are we going to do? How can we get back into business? What do we need to learn about ourselves in this situation to be able to move forward? What are we willing to do to change the current situation and create a new norm? What opportunities present ourselves? Where do we fit in? So those questions gave us a lot of answers to move towards a new vision and a new goal. And Amol, I hope that already helps a bit with finding out how can we actually motivate people. We do need to have a destination to focus on. And so this is actually the start of experimenting stage. So we started to experiment. We started to change our website. We started to see offering new services. Yes, we actually realized we can't do the face-to-face thing anymore. How does it going to look like if we go online? We started to equip ourselves with the skills to run Zoom sessions. We set up the office. So there was actually quite a lot of change that happened, and we started to experiment. And as you can see, I use a bit of a green color here. This was really exciting at that stage. And thankfully, it started to pick up again. Now, having said that, I think we are still in the experimenting stage, because the next step would be the new norm. Have we already arrived there? Absolutely not. The new norm, how does it going to look like? I don't know. I don't know. And again, coming back to Amol's conversation and comments, maybe it takes another year, maybe it takes another 2 years. What is the new norm? And probably by the time we are arrived at the new norm, there will be many more changes again. So the new norm will look, sound, and feel like completely different. I don't know yet, but the experimenting stage, I think that is where we are still at. And I'm just wondering, and I want to hand that back to you now. What phase of the curve does resonate with you? Does the whole curve resonate with you? Where are you up to? What do you think? Let's maybe start the conversation again.
I'm experimenting for sure.
Yeah, Lisa, you're experimenting already? And is that an exciting space?
Oh yeah, look, it's good to get back in the doing space, basically.
Yes.
Because somewhere down in hopelessness was full of inertia and, you know, hopeless. Yeah. So it's now I'm getting ready for what could be a long haul, and just being able to do things given the restrictions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well said. Awesome. And I think we need to understand as well that those emotions are there. And I think it's just natural to go through those emotions. And I almost would say need to embrace those emotions and really create self-awareness where we are, so that we can go to the next level. I think it's a natural thing to go through the emotions. The question is, how long are we stuck within one particular emotion? And I think we can all agree, if we are stuck in frustration for 6 months, it is very unhealthy. If we are stuck in hopelessness for 6 months, it is very unhealthy. So while we need to understand we can't skip or dodge one of those emotions, it's actually like a grieving process almost, because we're grieving of letting or having to let go of the old norm and having to come to terms with the new norm. Yeah, who else would like to share some insights? Yeah, Tonya?
Yeah, I'm in the same as Lisa. I've been through all, you know, like what you said, the frustration and the feeling of hopelessness. Like it was, I very much considered giving up. I mean, I probably never would have actually ever gone through with it, but you know, you sort of feel like maybe it's time to get out of my business and all that sort of thing. And then left that all behind, and I'm actually in the process now. I've set up my website, so I'm taking my business. Well, at the moment, it's completely pretty much online, and that's a very nerve-wracking, scary, challenging kind of feeling for me. But I'm also I love a challenge. I'm scared of a challenge, and I love a challenge at the same time. So, and basically the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is I don't have any choice. So this situation has given us, you know, I've got the time now. I'm at home. I can work on it. And it's actually working. It's working. Yeah, really quite well. I'm quite pleasantly surprised. So, and it's as I said, it's a massive challenge. But I like challenges now and then. Probably don't need one quite this big, but
Awesome.
but it's giving me the motivation to do it as well. So rather stop procrastinating.
Yeah, and I love your input, and thank you for sharing, Tonya. I actually had a look on your website and social media just the other day. I've heard you speak at the Wyndham Connect, very inspiring. And yes, out of downfall sometimes comes great opportunity. And I think your business came a long way. I'm looking at the pictures. They look professionally using a model, great clothing. Social media looks really professional. Who's seen Tanya's website? Yeah, it's really great. It's really great.
Thank you.
And as you said, even with feeling a bit uncomfortable, I've just seen the Facebook video post as well. Almost, can we say it's almost feeling comfortable to feel uncomfortable?
Yep.
And I think there's a lot of growth. So thank you very much for sharing. Who else would like to share a bit their insights? Gemma, or Joel? Joel first, and then we got Gemma.
Yeah, okay. I'm still in denial. No, just joking. So I'm more in the acceptance stage at the moment. The first lockdown didn't really affect me that much, but it's the second lockdown where I'm probably starting to feel this curve. So I'm more the coming to terms with the new situation, and now I've really got to try and experiment new things. I'm in the insurance industry. There's not much we can do differently because it is a face-to-face industry. So I've got to try and find that area to experiment in.
Absolutely. And we already learned different people are in different levels or different emotions. So if we look at this as well, what do you think going to happen if somebody is still in frustration, even in a business? Some of the staff members are still frustrated, and you as the business owner perhaps already tried to experiment. So we can see there's some challenges here. The question is, how do we motivate them coming back to a mall? How do we motivate them? How do we give them opportunities to actually catch up in their own terms, motivate them to go to the next step so we can move the business forward? Gemma, you wanted to share some insights as well? Just need to unmute
I'm not
you.
really affected at all. Oh,
No,
now
it's
I'm
good.
unmute.
I
Okay, yeah.
unmuted you, yeah.
So I'm speaking on behalf of my business and my personal during this COVID. Is like, to be honest, I'm not really affected. I'm really, I'm very happy about it. Not about it. I mean, like, greatly, I'm not affected because my home, my business is a home base for 10 years. So I'm used to it being isolated. At first, I was really isolated because no one to talk to, you know, like you alone. That's why even though I have my own practice, my own business, I still work for someone during tax season. So I started for 5 days the last 3 years. Then last year I make it 3 days, now just 2 days. The only frustration I have is because of this job keeper. Like, most everyone is entitled, but the sole traders, there are many sole traders that they're not entitled to it. And also with this adjustment of job keeper, like the first job keeper 1.0, everyone's entitled to 1,500, whether you're earning less or more in a fortnight. And if it's over a fortnight, if it's over 1,500, it's up to the employer to top it up. But with this second job keeper, which is 2.0, it will start this 28th of September. From 1,500, it will be 1,200. And for those who are working less than 20 hours, it's only 750, which is, I think, is fair enough. Because the first one, like whether you work, less than 1,500, still entitled with 1,500. Now they make it 750.
Yeah. So what area do you think you're in right now?
Right now,
What level?
Like I've said, there's no impact in my business because my business, I'm still busy. Like, the only thing is I don't see some clients in person. I just do it by email or by Zoom meeting, and some of them I don't see them at all because some of my clients are interstate or outside or in the country or in the site and local. My only frustration is, like, we cannot travel, we cannot go overseas because we're planning to build a house there. So we started in October and we're supposed to go back there in April. So we're still waiting for this lockdown to be over so we can go back there and continue, you know, building this house.
So what I'm learning here from Gemma, and thanks for sharing, what I'm learning here from Gemma is there is a curve. There can be a curve for our business venture. There can be a curve for our personal life. Yes. So for Gemma, as she said, she didn't really have to create a new norm. Nothing really changed as much from business. But she just indicated from a personal level, she actually had to go through big time or has to go through big time through that curve, and indicated that she's a bit at the frustration space or state at the moment.
Yes, cannot trouble.
Yes. So that really raises the question now, really important, I guess, what matters most? Is it that we are being perfect and high performing in business, or is it in first instance to look out for each other and create a more harmonious environment through times of uncertainty to reduce stress, anxiety, boredom, depression, despair, whatever it might be? What do you think? Lisa points number 2. Tonya number 2. Imran number 2. Oh, there's a lot of social people on here. Do we have anyone number 1? No, no one, no one. Oh, that's really interesting. I actually believe personally that the light that actually is actually giving us the best performance. So interesting enough, it's really what are we focusing on here? And I do believe as well, Yes, while it is of course very important to be high performing and keep the business going, making profit, being able to pay the bills, getting revenue, I think the best chance we do have to actually get that done is by really looking after the people in the first place. Now, this is one of the reasons why we created this workshop, and I would like to explore two topics with you. The first one is staying motivated through times of uncertainties. I want to have a bit of a look. How can we keep people motivated on a high level? And second, we're going to go into mentally and emotionally inspire each other, including ourselves. And I think it's such an important part, especially as we have a lot of business owners here and leaders in the community. Sometimes we are so focusing on giving that we forget ourselves in the process, and that can be quite challenging as well. And we want to make sure that we really looking after ourselves as well. Now, I want to share with you a bit, or interested in a poll here, and that comes quite timely. If we're looking at a few particular emotions too, proportions of Australians experiencing boredom with a high frequency since COVID-19 outbreak. What do you think happened since the COVID outbreak? Do you think boredom has decreased, stayed the same, doubled, tripled, quadrupled, sextupled? I hope I say that right with my accent. I get a bit of a laughter. I'm going to dodge that with the next one, but let me share with you an official poll. I think Kim set that up nicely for us. Let's just have a quick look. Here it is, or it should come your way. So please share your opinion. What do you think happened with boredom since COVID frequent outcome or COVID outbreak? And I can see the numbers are going up. People are starting to vote. Just give you a few more minutes, see what's going to happen. Yeah, we are at 90%. There's still a few people outstanding. Just give you a few more seconds before I reveal the poll. Okay, let's end that and let's share it. So you should be able to see it. Double. 4 people said double, 4 people said triple, and 1 person said quadrupled. In fact, nobody got that right. It's actually the last one. It multiplied by 6. We have, at the moment, we have about 26% of people who are actually feeling boredom. And to me, that indicates, and I just stop sharing that poll here. To me, that actually indicates that perhaps these are the people who lost their job. Amal, you've indicated that clearly. You are home. Okay, my purpose, my vision is taken away, my daily routine, and I'm just at home. What am I going to do with myself? So boredom is certainly, although stressed people wish that they would be bored once in a while, it's not a nice feeling to be in. So let's explore another one, which is actually on the other side of the spectrum of, let me see, we're going to bring this up. Just going to go to the second poll, and the same question here, but this time around, proportions of Australians experiencing stress. So stress and anxiety is where too much things happen in our life. What do you think happened with those numbers? Let's see what's going to happen. Numbers are going up. That's great. People, you guys know what to do now. Yeah, fantastic. And we're going to end that one. And we're going to share the results. So you should be able to see the results now. Now, I think I influenced you a bit with the first poll, so people tend to go a bit higher. Now we have quadrupled 4 people with the highest vote. In fact, that it actually doubled. Stress doubled. However, I think we need to consider that I think a lot of people were already stressed, way too stressed prior to COVID-19, coming back to traveling to the city, spending maybe 2 or 3 hours in public transport every day, having to do 2 jobs, picking up kids, all those kind of things. However, let's put it in a different perspective. Doubled means we have now about 29%. That's a lot. It's almost a third of the population experiencing stress very frequently. So interesting enough, we have almost both ends of the spectrum, the ones that don't really know what to do with themselves and the ones who picked up a lot of work. Let's think about the health sector at the moment. I think there's a lot of people stressed with this current situation. So let me share a bit of a model with you, and I think that really raises the question, and I'm going to share that screen again with you here. I think that really going to raise the question, how can we make sure we stay motivated at work and in life itself? And let me share this model with you, and I think we should start with the comfort zone. I'm sure you've heard about the comfort zone before, even through our previous conversation. There's so much uncertainty. Who loves a bit of comfort? Maybe just show some hands. Yes. Love it. Comfort, something that I know. The comfort zone is a mindset actually of I know what I know. And there's nothing new coming out of the comfort zone. It is the comfort zone because we've done it hundreds or thousands of times before. And actually, this is great to recharge our battery. But what's happened if we stay too long in our comfort zone? What do you think? Too much of the comfort zone? How do we feel? Anyone? Just take yourself off mute.
We don't expand ourselves and our thinking and our approach. It just, it's all a bit, ho-hum.
Exactly. That's actually exactly where the boredom fits in. That's why I've done this poll. That's exactly where the boredom fits in. If we don't do anything new, where's the growth? Where's the excitement? Where's the sense of achieving something? Where's the sense of making a difference in the world? So that's where the boredom lives. And the outer circle here is that circle around here. That is actually what we call the boundary condition of our thinking. As I said, the boredom or the comfort zone is as far as we went with our thinking. And sometimes when we talk to people and people say, oh, that's a good question, I don't know. That is when we hit boundary condition, because probably that person never asked themselves the same question. So it creates a new perspective. And if we go over the boundary condition, we actually get into what we call the learning zone. The learning zone, this is the relationship to, I know there are things that I don't know. So it's a bit the unknown, in other words. And as more we are curious and excited about this zone, as more growth occurs, which is absolutely fantastic. But what's happened if we step over the outer line of the learning zone? In other words, the green dashed line on our visual slide. What do you think? I'm just handing over that question to you again. What's happened if we get over that green dashed line on the screen that you see right now? Amol?
I think once that you pass that green zone, that's when a step towards growth or a step towards achieving some sort of achievement. So that's a step. That's how I take it, is as a step towards learning new. You've learned something, or you've achieved something, or you accomplish towards your goal. That's how I take it, if you're out of that green learning zone.
Is it outside of the green learning zone, or is it within the learning zone?
So if it's past that, because how I take it is, learning within that learning zone, you're still exploring and you still have many ideas that you are trying to grab. And once you pass that zone, that's when I believe you streamline what you wanted to learn, or you train your mind, and then you achieve, you send some sort of accomplishment or you've learned something, you've achieved
Yeah,
something.
I see where you're coming from. Let me give you an indicator here. Actually, the growth is happening in the learning zone. What's happened if we get over the green perforated or the green dotted line here is, this is actually literally when we push ourselves or other people over the edge. So we have a metaphor over that where we push people over the edge. It's actually too much in too little time. Where we have expectation of ourselves and think we need to change the whole world overnight. Who can relate to that? I thought I'm the only weirdo here on the call, thanks. But you know what I mean? Literally, I think the expectations we sometimes have, even as a business owner, expectations to whatever it is, how quickly that COVID should be resolved, how quickly we should go back to normal. If we have very high expectations or unreasonable expectations, we actually get into the panic zone. And this is where stress and anxiety actually lives. So the other part of the poll that we looked at. And let's be clear, what is actually happening if that's occur? What if we are too long and for too long in the panic zone? What do you think gonna happen? Too much stress.
You probably give up. You probably
Either you give up or you burn out.
Yeah.
And that's not a nice place to be, unfortunately, of course, but we need to be aware of the consequences so we can redirect ourselves and deal with the high expectations. Say, you know what, come on, give yourself a break, because what you're doing or the expectations you have for yourself is not very healthy. It's not nurturing. It doesn't support you in any way. Please be a bit more kind to yourself and give yourself credit. And sometimes we have to do that by simply accepting that it is not business as usual right now. So maybe everything will take a bit longer. Maybe everything will take a bit more patience. Maybe we need to step back and say, what is this really all about? What are the opportunities in there? So we need to be really careful that we don't push ourselves over the edge into the panic zone, because as we said, this is where the burnout lives. So if we are exposed to the panic zone too long, we went to actually crave the comfort zone even more. And this is very counterproductive, because if we are too stressed, we're going to go back even more and hold on to our comfort. And that is very counterproductive. I hope I make sense here. It is that balance of our mindset that says, you know what, too much stress. I just go under my due now, and I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to see anything. Just leave me alone. And while it is a defense, a protective mechanism, it doesn't help us to grow and to progress with our business as well. So let's just take one step back and start to focus on the outcome. So Amol, that is where you come in with your comment before. I think you're going to love this. Start focusing on the outcome. In other words, what do we want to achieve under the new circumstances? The challenge we often face, though, is that our goals, achievements, and targets, our vision is out of far reach. It's what we call the magic. It's what I call the magic. Where does the magic happen? Where would I like to go? Where is my end destination? So how do we get there? How do we inspire yourself and others, our team, our family, our partner, whoever it is? How do we get from our comfort zone now to the magic place? What do you think? Who can help me out here? What is a sustainable way, Amol, maybe I'll get you off mute. What is a sustainable way to get from comfort zone to the magic that seems to be quite a far reach?
I think it's about proposing the goal or your life. What's the purpose of your life? I think it's not the same, and it's not going to be the same for some time. And it's sooner we accept and repurpose, could be personal or professional, because that's the only way to revise what you want to achieve. And that's how I think you'll be able to focus in positivity, and you'll have a sense of achievement after the repurpose, rather than having that unrealistic goal and trying to chase that, which is not going to be achieved. And I think it's repurposing the purpose of personal life and your professional and personal goal. That's how I think.
Beautiful, well said, absolutely. And how about if we're actually doing a bit of a reverse psychology where we say, rather than having a goal for the next 2 years or whatever it is, what is my goal to the end of the month? What is my goal to the end of the lockdown? What is the goal today? What can I do today? One single step, one single action. What can I do today that gets me one step closer to my outcome? I think that is really important, because sometimes it can be overwhelming if we, as you said in the beginning, you try to think ahead 1 or 2 years ahead and you have no idea what's going to happen. So we do need to be flexible. Maybe we need to have a bit of smaller goals. The other thing that we can do is actually, yes, we can actually step outside our comfort zone, but with reason. That's an important part, because if the new zone for us, or the comfort zone, if we step outside of our comfort zone into the learning zone, we will learn something new. Of course, we need to go back then in the evening maybe to allow ourselves to actually get back into the comfort zone to recharge the battery. So it's the moderation. I recharge my battery so I have enough energy to step into my learning zone again the next day. And when we keep that doing consistently, guess what's going to happen? The comfort zone now starts to expand. And what was the learning zone? Because the learning zone is now processed, the learning zone is implemented, the learning zone becomes our new habits. It becomes quite comfortable to us. And the panic zone is now the learning zone, and we push out the panic zone even further. So this is how we grow, we expand the comfort zone, but consistently. That is really important. So, and if we continue that process, of course, consistently, this is exactly how we get closer and closer and closer. So we need to allow ourselves to give us time to grow in our own ways. And again, people are very unique. People grow in different strengths, different times. So we do need to see that individual needs of growing and maintaining it by stepping back into the comfort zone to recharge the battery. Now, this is a very crucial point here, by the way. Once we get to this point, what do you think needs to happen? Really an important point. What are we going to do if we reached our magic, our vision, our purpose, our goals with confidence and comfort? What's the next step? Lisa, I think we need to take you off mute. I think you wanted to say something.
I just said celebrate.
Love it. Please celebrate. Please celebrate every single success. No matter how small, how big it is, we do need to celebrate, because celebration gives us the motivation to do even more. And that presupposes as well, once we reached our goal, we need to set an even bigger goal, an even bigger vision. Because what's going to happen if we reach our goal and we stuck or stay with that goal? What do you think going to happen? We actually get bored. We actually go full circle and we get bored. And if we start to get bored and we don't do anything about it, what do we learn? Our comfort zone starts to shrink. Mother Nature teaches us beautiful, because I quite often say nothing can stay the same. Nothing in life stays the same. Either we grow or we contribute to the society and our community and our universe, or we start to shrink. We cannot stay the same. Am I making sense, or am I just mumbling on now? Please give me a bit of an update, feedback. Are we all good? Awesome. So this is really important part. Now, I think you were listening enough to my voice. I want to really give you a bit of time to digest. Kim, I need your help here with the breakout rooms, please. What I want to do is I would like to give you maybe about 5-6 minutes in a breakout room. Who is aware of breakout rooms, or where we split people off a bit, maybe 3 breakout rooms? Please have a bit of a chat. What are your key learnings so far? What specific action will you implement? And please, it doesn't matter how big it is or how small. What is it that you take away from that emotional intelligence curve or from that comfort zone exercise we've just done? And of course, also, what difference will it make? So is everybody clear on that task?
Yeah, and did them all. So I was quite happy about that. So yeah, that's my feedback on that. So yeah. And how's your new role going, Lisa? Your local 30-30, aren't you, or something like that? Or
yeah, so I've been organising, coordinating a monthly with a cleanup group since May 18.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's been a happening thing, and
We're back with the main group, guys.
We are back.
Are we sorry? Hello.
I just wanted to say, just in case, that's all.
Hello.
I love
Tanya.
if people keep the conversation going. That's always a good sign.
I didn't know. Sorry.
Good. Now we know everything. No, that's good. Please share what was the outcome. What did you learn? What was the conversation all about? And of course, if you have any related questions, that's a great opportunity to ask them before we head into the second part of the session.
So you go, Tanya. Go.
You go, Wendy. Oh, no.
No, I was just saying we all agree that just to chip. Sorry, Tanya, to chip away and take time and little steps. I think Tanya will actually say, recharge yourself. That's my outcome out of that. Go, Tanya.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, and I was just going to say that, going back to a little bit of what Amal was saying before, is that, nobody knows our certainty the uncertainty in our lives at the moment means it's very hard to plan for what's going to happen even like next week or next month or next year. So one of the things that I've taken from this, and we just talked about, is that every day at the moment we're probably out of our comfort zones, but if you achieve one little thing each day, to celebrate and enjoy that, so that you just feel that you're heading in the right direction. Like, we still don't quite know what that direction is, but at the moment, if it can just be that you give yourself a pat on the back and just say, you've achieved, even if it's the tiniest little thing in your day, acknowledge that and celebrate that each day. So
absolutely. And I actually worked on cruise ships, and I did the Atlantic crossing quite often, and I thought that is such an amazing how they can leave somewhere in the US. You're driving, you're on the ocean for 7-8 days, and you kind of arrive somewhere in England or whatever. And I thought, this is perfection. And I thought, what would happen if the captain is just off course by 1 degree? 1 degree. We probably would end up somewhere in Africa or Scandinavia. So what I'm saying here is, and this was a big learning personally for myself, big changes happen by small adjustments consistently over time. Sometimes, as I said, we try to change the world overnight. We put so high expectation on us that it actually is very counterproductive and creates so much stress and burnout. But if we commit to the small changes create the big changes over time. Who was it? Bruce Lee who said, or who was it who said, you double your business not by changing one thing by 100%. You probably double your business by changing 100 things by 1%. So I love this metaphor as well, or that quote. And Tanya, thank you for sharing. It's exactly what it is. Give ourselves a bit credit, focus on the small thing. Lisa, celebrate those success, because it gives us more energy to do even more, and things start to happen. Who else would like to share?
Yeah, our breakup group spoke about the emotional curve, and Steve mentioned that it's important that we're aware of where we are, and I think that was a good point, because sometimes you know, we're having these feelings, but we don't know. And then knowing where we are on the curve, then we understand that it's okay to feel that. We're not the only one feeling that. There's other people feeling that emotional curve, and also not to rush where you are in that emotional curve. Some people say, you know, they go through a grief, and everyone says, oh, let's just get on with our lives. Let's move on. Sometimes you need to go through that emotional curve, not just in the COVID situation, but in life. And I thought that was pretty good point as well.
Beautiful. And hey, it makes us human.
Mm.
Emotions makes us human. That is such an important part. And I believe if we own emotions, whatever it is, and we're actually, interesting enough, we're going to go into that now, into that topic. Emotional intelligence, as more we listen to our emotions, as more we connect to our emotions, as more we are aware of where we are and why we feel what we feel, as more we can take actions accordingly, as more we can look for solutions, how we can get into the next stage, how we can move forward. And that is such an important part. Rather than denying emotions or saying, go away, I don't have time for frustration, and why am I frustrated again? No, really tapping in. What does it mean? Why am I feeling frustration right now? To me, that's the communication. But to wrap this up, and thank you very much for sharing, to wrap this up or to summarize it, I think we can say life begins actually at the end of the comfort zone. So whatever strategy we use, the key to staying motivated through times of uncertainty is to get comfortable, to step outside our comfort zone more often, but also allowing ourselves to recharge our energy in our comfort zone. So sustainability, not just in our environment, but sustainability for ourselves as a human being. In other words, moderation and finding the balance, to me, is absolutely key. You can actually find balance by remembering the acronym ACEs. That is quite often used in mental health. And it actually stands for achievements. And coming back to my question, what is most important? Yes, we do need to have achievements in life, because that gives us a sense of, yes, achievement, motivation, but at the same time, we do need to connect with people, with others. And what a great platform do we have right here to connect with people and to actually have a conversation. And the enjoyment, we do need to have enjoyment. We do need to have time out. We do need to have quality time with family, with other human beings. And last but certainly not least, the self-care. We need to put ourselves in the equation. It is so important. And I certainly encourage you to really maintain your self-care. So awesome. Let's go into the second topic, mental and emotional inspiration. And what I would like to share with you here is I would actually like to extend a bit on the cruise ship. As I mentioned before, I did work on cruise ships for many years, traveled the world, worked on many different continents and so on. And it was absolutely amazing. I remember when I was about 24, wow, quite a long time, 24, I started my first contract in Monaco, and I was standing in front of that big cruise liner. Oh my God, I was outside my comfort zone big time. I thought, what am I doing here? Are you for real? And it turned out to be quite a very tough time for myself, but also one of the best times of my life. And especially in the first couple of contracts, I was absolutely amazed how the dynamics, how everything worked on those cruise ships to give passengers such a great experience every single day on the ocean. And that brought a question to me that really was stuck in my head. And I was like, who is in charge of that ship? What do you think? Who is in charge of a cruise ship to ensure that the customer have really a great experience? What do you think? I'll just hand that to you. Just take yourself off mute. Who is in charge of a cruise ship? Who's running the ship? I'll get ourselves. Yes. So a team member. Thanks, Gemma. Using the chat box here. Please take yourself off mute. Where are the people gone? Tonya, what do you think? Who is in charge? Who's running the cruise ship?
Well, normally you'd think it would be something like the captain, sort of like
I like that one.
Yeah, so he's certainly in charge of where the ship's going. There's certainly that, but it would be probably the person in charge of like entertainment and food.
Yeah. So more than one person.
Yes.
Yeah, I actually came to the conclusion that yes, the captain is running the ship. I would actually say that the captain is the brain of the ship and that the crew is the heart of the ship. That's what I came to the conclusion after a few contracts. And out of experience, I've learned that the better the captain and the crew connect and communicate with each other, the better we could actually create an amazing experience for the passengers. So really need to go hand in hand. On the other hand, I've actually also seen firsthand what's happened if the captain and the crew are not working together at all. And unfortunately, I've seen that as well. And I realized that when connection and communication go down, so does creation. And I really do believe we need a lot of creation to create that new norm for ourselves. So that's a really important part. And let's be honest, what's happened ultimately if the captain and the crew are not communicating? We probably get a mutiny, isn't it? So not what we're looking for. So let's exchange some more thoughts on that. How does that metaphor apply to us as an individual human being, but also in relation on how we're engaging with our team or business? Why do you think I'm sharing that metaphor with you? How could we draw some conclusion out of that metaphor? Joel, I maybe just put you on the spot. There's a lot of thinking going on.
I think, I think for, in my point of view, we need to have a clear and real communication, and it's never been important than ever, which means having a realistic communication about where it's heading as a business. Therefore, every team member aligns as well. It's not about giving false hope or giving them unrealistic goals or anything. So it's more about comforting them and talking to them. Well, if we do not know where it's heading, but this is what we can do to ensure that the business is alive. And end of this, we all have the job, including myself. If there's no business, I don't have job either.
Absolutely.
So I think it's more about clear communication, about sharing that vision. It's not about keeping with myself. I can sit here and tell I want to get through this, but what's the point of getting through this without the team? That's how the communication needs to be clearer. And as I said, it's never been, and sharing information that you may not have shared in the past. That could be numbers, that could be anything else. I think that's very key now, is that everyone needs to be in the same page and needs to understand that if we survive, we need to do this together. We all need to be doing the same thing. And also, once we get through this, so that we all have something to work with, something to look up to. That's again, and that's including myself. It's not just about the staff. It's about including me. If there's no business, I don't have the job. I do not have a job to give to the staff member either. So I think that communication is very crucial. And it's very important for me and as a team.
And based out of my experience, thanks Amal, based on my experience, if we do not talk to our staff or even ourselves, this is almost like the brain, you know, talking to ourselves. Who has different voices in their head? Please show some hands. Yeah. And they never stop. And some says, go for it. And the other one says, who do you think you are? Are you for real? And you think, which voice should I listen to? So communication is really key, and I think we need to be on the ball, especially now where so many people working from home in isolation. What I've learned is if we do not communicate, and sometimes we don't like to communicate negative news, but if we do not communicate, fear, ego kicks in, and probably that self-talk is much worse than what's really happening. So to me, we need to work together, as Amal said, we need to work together to strengthen our workplace, our community. I'm actually quite excited because for many years we spoke about globalization. Now we're talking again about communities. We're talking about neighbors. We're talking about supporting local businesses. We're talking about sticking up for each other. So there's a lot of good things happening right now, but yes, we do need to communicate. We need to stay connected and empower each other with communication. Absolutely. And let me please elaborate a bit more even on the captain and the crew relationship even a bit more, because I think this is really important. As we said, the captain to me is the brain. The captain is the brain of the ship, our mental health, our conscious mind, our IQ in some sense. And the cognitive aspect, our brain functionality, our mental health, that's where it fits in. What are we talking about? What are we telling ourselves in our self-talk? The flexibility to solve problems, use critical independence, and even positive thinking fits in. In other words, how we articulate things, the power of words, and we're going to experience that a bit further down the track. Our self-talk, in other words, and how we communicate with others. And then there is the crew. I believe, as I said, that's the heart of the ship, our emotional fitness, as well as our well-being, our unconscious mind, our emotional intelligence, to other words. And things that are all happening without the captain even thinking about. So in our metaphor, laundry, cooking, maintenance, engine room, painting jobs, all those kind of things quite often are happening without the captain, the brain, even noticing it, to provide this wonderful experience to all the passengers. So this is the ability to recognize and express and even control moods, feelings, emotions adequately. In other words, how we articulate. And let's be honest, how do people really connect? Do they connect with their brain or do they connect more with their heart? What do you think? One or two? Oh, love this one. Yes, quite often with the heart. Now, interesting enough, we're all individuals, and probably there's a few people, logical thinking people on board as well. They will say, no, I'm listening to my logic and I'm listening to structure and research, and I need to have some evidence here. That's fine, absolutely. More the kinesthetic people, of course, they've just done this one here, the heart, because that is how we do connect from a kinesthetic point of thing. So how we articulate. So let's look at a few strategies on how we can actually look after our mental health first. In other words, let's have a close look at the power of thoughts and how we can master our mind, because words have an incredible impact and actually an immense power. They have the power to crush us. They can make us feel excited or encouraged. They can actually provoke wars, and we see that in the world, unfortunately, these days. They are a source of controversy, create diplomacy, foster love, hate, confusion, possibilities, you name it. Words are very powerful. And words are heavily used in our thoughts, of course, which brings us actually to Paul. And let me just have a look here. Paul again, let me stop that one. And I'm quite interested to hear from you. You should be able to see that. What do you think? How many thoughts do you think we have per day? Do you think we have not enough? Do you think we have about 600 thoughts a day? Do you think we have even 6,000 thoughts a day? Or even 60,000 thoughts a day? Or do you think, please think, oh my God, there's way too many, they actually never stop? And let's just see how many people we get in here. There's a few more missing. I'm just giving you a few more seconds to see how we're going here. Few more have to make a decision still. Yeah, all right, let's reveal that. And not a surprise, I've used that before. And most of the time I get that answer. People say way too many thoughts. They never stop. Even if I try to go to sleep, they are still there. I think just go away. Reality or fact is actually we have around 60,000 thoughts a day. 60,000 conversations with ourselves. That is a lot, isn't it? So let me quickly see. I'll just share that back again. 60,000 thoughts, that means we spend a lot of time with ourselves. In other words, there is more time than we actually spend probably than with our partner or with even our best friend. So we better make sure that our thoughts are positive and nurture and support us in whatever we want to achieve in business and life itself. So please remember, everything starts with a humble thought. Because thoughts creates emotions. What we think creates emotions. Emotion leads to decisions. They lead to action. They lead to behaviors. And ultimately, they lead to our results. So let me ask you that question. What do you think thoughts are? That should be a very simple question, because if we're doing something 60,000 times a day, it should be very easy to us to explain what thoughts are. If I don't have a concept at all, how would you explain that to me? What do you think? And everybody's just thinking.
Yeah, I'm just sort of thinking it's like the ramblings that go on in your brain. It probably relates to loads of things, external and internal.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Do we have any other decisions or definitions? What are thoughts? Doing it 60,000 times, huh? No, I actually think thoughts are questions we ask ourselves all the time. Simple as that. And you're probably doing it right now. What does that mean? Okay. So, okay, what am I going to do with that information? So it is actually literally we asking ourselves questions all the time. So I think it is really important to realize that we need to be maybe a bit more in our control, or maybe creating a bit more self-awareness of our questions we ask ourselves. Are they low quality questions or are they high quality questions? And let me explain it to you. Here are a few limiting and disempowering questions or thoughts to get started. And while I'm asking these questions, maybe just tap into, how do you feel when I ask those questions out loud? And those low quality questions could sound something like this. Why am I always missing out? Why can I ever be happy? Why does that always happen to me? Why is life so unfair? So just give me a bit of an indicator. What's happened to your emotion when you hear those thoughts? Is it empowering or is it disempowering? Is it empowering or is it disempowering? It's big time. It's like, oh my God, this is draining. My God, come on, give me something here. Motivation completely gone. Now we need to be very clear. Why are those why questions disempowering? What are we focusing on? Are we not just focusing on excuses? Yes.
I was going to say, it's like you're asking someone else to make those decisions or those impacts on your life. You're also kind of like, why isn't my life better? Yeah. It's like you're trying to deflect the blame, if you like, to someone else.
Exactly. It is a very dependent thinking, because it blames everything outside of us and say, if life would be different, if life would be more fair, I would be so much better off. It's actually very disempowering. It's victimizing, because the why questions often focusing on the problems. And oh boy, I wish I would have known that when I went into education many years ago, because I made the same mistakes even with my students, where I said, why are you late for class again? Why did you not submit your assessments on time? And guess what? From a brain, from a mental perspective, I asked them to justify the problem. And I would say, well, I didn't submit my assessment because I was too busy, because I had to work a double shift, because I don't really care about that subject as much, because my parents really want me to study, but I don't really want to be here. And the brain says, dude, I just gave you 100 reasons why I was late for class, so please accept that. But that's the last thing I want to do, isn't it? Because as a teacher or as a mentor, I want to encourage people. So I need to shift away, or we need to shift away with our thoughts of focusing on the problem so often, because as more we're focusing on the problem, as less time we have for solutions. So I started to ask my questions in a more empowering way. I started to ask my students to say, all right, what can we do to ensure you submit your assessments on time? How can I assist you to ensure you're coming to class? So suddenly the why questions, which are very victimizing, the why questions, which are very focusing on the problem, are now asking high quality questions where I'm focusing on solutions, and I'm also focusing on what is in what is in my control. So that is such a simple strategy, but it is powerful. And think about that, multiply that by 60,000 times a day. Do you think you're going to experience a different life? Big time. So with creating self-awareness of the question, of the thoughts that we have, we can already have a huge positive impact on our mental health and therefore also on our emotional fitness. So what are some typical high quality questions? Another one, I ask myself quite often, what is good about this situation? What do I need to learn about myself in this situation? That is a powerful question to me, because it is in my control and it gives me options to move forward. How can I change this situation? And all the answers I'm giving myself now creates options, which is the law of requisite variety. As more choices we have, as better off we are, which presupposes, of course, we do need to be able to make good decisions, which are so important, of course. Now, another thing, asking empowering and solution-based question, that's where we looked at it. Another thing that we really should be doing is state it as you want it, not as you don't want it. And this is, again, is such a simple thing, but I thought I'm going to share that with you because it is very powerful as well. How often do people know exactly what they don't want? Show some hands. I don't want to be frustrated anymore. I don't want to deal with this rubbish anymore. I don't want to always have those difficult conversations. I don't want to hear about COVID-19 anymore. So we know exactly what we don't want. And again, rather than focusing on what we don't want, we need to focus on what we actually want. I'll give you an example, because our brain works like a GPS. If I want to go to the Civic Center in Werribee, what do I going to put into the GPS if I've never been there before? Do I going to put in that I say, I certainly don't want to go to Frankston, and I also don't want to go to the Yarra Valley? Tonya laughs because it doesn't make sense, isn't it? But how often are we doing that to ourselves by indicating, I don't want to do that? Now, I do understand sometimes it's a bit of a cultural thing. It's something that I realized when I came to Australia, and even doing small talk, if you think about it, when you have small talk, are we not quite often outline what we don't? I'll give you an example. How are you going today? Not bad. What are you up to? Not much. Where are you going? Not far. So quite often we have a culture thing where we outline the things that we are not. And then sometimes we're wondering why we have so many misunderstanding and why we're creating confusion. So I really say, please state the things the way you want it rather than the way you don't want it. Words are a very self-fulfilling prophecy, and where the words lead, your mind and body will follow. And really important to understand that our unconscious doesn't understand negatives. That's a really important part, because if I say not bad, what am I focusing on? Bad. Who has kids? Has somebody said, don't spill the milk? And what do the kids do? They do spill the milk because we told them to. Now you can say, hang on, and I said specifically, don't spill the milk. But it's the same thing for the unconscious mind, because what we hear is spill the milk. And I know that sounds a bit weird, and you maybe think, Martin, now you're going off on a tantrum. But it's really important, because the unconscious mind takes everything as a flat value. Let me prove it to you. Let's do a quick other exercise. And I know I have a bit of an accent, but I do hope you understand me. And I'll just telling you now, please, under no circumstances, do not, whatever you do not think of a blue tree with a pink elephant. What just happened? A few people are laughing. Did you visualize something like this? Did you visualize something like this to say, oh, I shouldn't do that, but it's too late, because the focus was already where it's not supposed to go. It was maybe on the problem, which can be a bit of a tricky part. And while we are at it, I just want to do another quick exercise, perhaps with you, if that's okay. In a second, I'm actually going to show you a bit of a photo collage. So a lot of different pictures. Oh, Imran going to be good at that, huh? Photography is his area of expertise. I'm going to show you a bit of a collage. If you've done it before, please just go along with it. I will give you about 10 seconds, and I want you to memorize as many pictures as you can in a particular color. Is everybody clear on the task? Cool. So I'm going to show you a picture, and you can see the screen right now. And the pictures that I want you to memorize are the ones that are yellow. And here it comes. All the pictures that are yellow for about 10 seconds. How many can you memorize? Give you about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and there it goes. All right, just clear your head for a second, and now please tell me all the images that were blue.
Oh, blue.
That's just me. I'm always a bit cheeky. But what are we learning from this 10-second exercise? Leanne, you had a bit of a laughter there.
I've had that one done before. I think it's great that we need to open our eyes more.
We need to open our eyes more. What else do we learn from that exercise? What else do we learn from that exercise? Why do you think I've done that with you?
So if you focus on something, you forget about the around, what is around.
Absolutely spot on. It is really what you focus on is what you get, to the exclusion of everything else. It literally is so important. So we need to be very careful. What is it that we focus on? Dr. Milton Erickson, who did actually a lot of great work in psychology, said it beautifully. He said, everyone's model of the world is as unique as their thumbprint. How comes that we can have 100,000 people at the MCG for a grand final? They're all watching the same game, and every single person has a different experience. Because we're all focusing on something else, because we're all very subjective and emotionally engaged with one club or the other one. We delete certain things and we actually focus on other things. So every person's reality is completely unique and different. So we need to understand success quite often comes down to 3 things. Maybe you want to write that down. To me, success really comes down to 3 things. The first thing is, what do we focus on? What are we focusing on? That's the first question. The second question to me is, what do we decide to do? Because it needs commitment, it needs action. Without action, we don't achieve anything. And the last question is, what are we willing to do consistently? Coming back to the cruise ship metaphor. And just going quickly back to the exercise here, what if the yellow image is symbolizing the problems around us and the blue images symbolizing all the solutions around us? It's an important question. I mean, even if you look at the news, if you want to really get depressed, please watch the news all day long. There's some advice here. But seriously, if you're looking at press conferences, we are very good in judging and blaming and knowing everything better. But let's be honest, how often are we focusing so much on the problem? Even meetings. How often do I go to meetings and we're talking about problems for a whole hour? Everybody feels great. They're walking out of a meeting. Everybody feels great because they got things off their chest. They go back to their workplace and then they think, it's all great, but nothing gonna change. And why not? Because we didn't have any time left to actually talk about solutions. So really what we focus on is what we get to the exclusion of everything else. And this is our reality. So we need to be very careful where we spend our focus because there are so many different potential realities all around us. And if we're focusing on the yellow pictures only, which are the problem, it doesn't mean that there are solutions all around us, but we just don't see them. What if we can turn this flashlight back and forth? What if we can actually explore, as Leanne said, where we can open our eyes a bit more, be more curious, childlike wonder? I love kids. They are so childlike wonder. They're wondering. They want to know everything. They are curious. What's happened to us sometimes as adults? Why did we lost it? Let's bring it back. I think it's so important to be open for new opportunities. So we do need to understand a negative mind will never give us a positive life. Darren, did you want to say something?
I said that's because most of us think we know everything.
Yes, and how is that working out for us?
Yeah, not that great.
No, I think quite often, and can I just be brutally honest? Sometimes when it gets tough, and that's my personal experience, maybe I'd be wrong and I'm happy to be wrong, but sometimes I feel when we feel pressured, when we feel stressed, when we're not reaching our goals, when our vision is taken away, we feel a bit vulnerable. And we feel like a bit outside of our control, like we're losing control. Pretending that we know everything gives us some control back, not a very resourceful one. Does that make sense? So I think by having control, it gives us a sense of significance that we crave very deeply. Now, I know that comes quite deep. It's our first session and we're already going there. I thank you very much to actually allowing myself to go there. But think about it. Significance, we all need to feel significant in some sense. The question is not, do we feel significant? The question, how do we fulfill the need of significance? And either we feel significant by achieving certain things or by putting other people down. Because if I say, I know so much more than Daniel Andrews, what do I say without saying it? Now I can allow myself to be significant because I'm claiming back some control. I do hope it makes sense. But coming back to the slide here, a negative mind will never give you a positive life. And if we're looking at the emotional side of it, I want to just simply share one simple other thing from an emotional point, and then we combine everything together and have another conversation. Well-being comes down to me by creating a very powerful environment around us, just like we're having it actually right here, right now. To me, to create an emotional connection with other people, we need to answer 3 simple questions with a yes. If we can do that, I think we have a great environment. The questions are, do I matter? Who likes to matter? We all do. We all like to matter. Do I belong? And the last, but certainly not the least, can I contribute? And this is, again, these are only simple 3 questions. You can utilize that anywhere. If you have a conflict with a staff member, if you have a conflict within a board, if you have a conflict within your family, if you have a conflict with yourself, we don't need anyone else. Sometimes we can have a conflict with ourselves. I promise you, one of those 3 questions will be probably answered with no. I even use this in online sessions probably, and please give me some feedback here as well. Do you feel like you matter? I hope you do. I see some thumbs up. Thank you very much. Do you feel like you belong? Because I actually ask you for your feedback. You can participate in the conversation. Do you feel therefore that you can contribute? What do you think would happen if I talk to you for just 2 hours? And I know I do a lot of talking, but I am the facilitator in some sense. Probably people would wander off. So yes, we want to learn something. I do need to share some models, but at the same time, we need to have the opportunity to communicate, to matter, to understand that we matter, belong, and that we can contribute. Really important part. Now let's wrap that all up. Or let me ask you another question. Coming back to this slide here, what do you think matters most or more? Is it the captain or the crew? Is it the brain or is it the heart? Is it the conscious or the unconscious mind? What do you think? Knowing what we know now. Or now know. That's a tongue breaker. What do you think, see, hear, or feel? Please share your insights. What is more important?
I think both.
Love it. And I think so too. I think both are mutually important, because to get the best possible performance and outcome, to get the motivation within your team while maintaining great mental and emotional well-being, they need to be congruent, which means they need to be connected, they need to work together and having great communication. Because let's think about this just from a human being point, from an individual. Because if the optimism of my heart says yes, but the pessimism of my mind says no, or vice versa, then what is happening to us or our team or our business? What do we get if we create mixed messages? It's actually quite simple. We get mixed results. And we confuse ourselves, because sometimes we say, do it. The heart says, do it. Trust yourself. And the brain says, who do you think you are? Just keep doing what you've always done. Because at least then you're not disappointed, whatever it is that we tell ourselves. So as more our brain and our heart is connected, as more we listen in to our emotions and create conscious awareness of our unconscious, as more congruent we all get. And I think this is really important, because coming back here, because when connection and communication go up, so does creation. And this statement applies to ourselves and how we deal with other people. Otherwise, as Carl Jung actually rightfully said, until you make our unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it faith. And faith is a beautiful thing, but if we're talking about leadership and talking about independence, rather than being affected by too much of what's happening with the COVID and everything else, where we stand up as a leader, say, what can I do with this situation? I understand it has an impact, but I want to stay in control. As more we connect and communicate, and that's why I love WBTA so much. It is creating a community. It creates a connection. It creates creation. And I think that is so important. So this is really where you become the master of your faith and the captain of your soul. And the more empowered and authentic we are, the more we can actually support ourselves and others. And right now we need ordinary people, just like you and me, I believe, that can actually take extraordinary action, especially in our community, workplaces, and our homes. And let the current challenges perhaps transform us to become the best version of ourselves, so we can successfully deal with those uncertain times. And I think we have a choice right now. Either we just surrender and stick our head in the sand, or we actually steer our ship through a bit of rough sea perhaps, but with confidence and empowerment, by looking at the horizon and way beyond the current pandemic. Or sometimes, Amal, as you said as well, just setting goals for today, tomorrow. What can I do today to make a difference? And of course, the question is, what are we going to do with this opportunity? Because unlike the cruise ship, I do believe the future isn't a place that we're going to. I believe the place, it's the place that we all get to create. So I would like to give you another opportunity here to think about the following questions and to really wrap up of what we learned here today in another breakout room, 5 minutes. And it really comes down to one important question here. And Kim, you can help me out again with the breakout rooms here. The question is, how can I look after my mental and emotional well-being that allows me and my business or career, depends on your situation, to be at its best? And that comes full circle to our previous questions. Yes, we need to look out for each other, but of course we also want to make sure that the business is still around and flourishing. So without further ado, I'll just allocate, or Kim, can you allocate people again, just randomly, can be different than before, and really just talk about this question and then share what you take out of today's session, because implementation is the most important part.
Hello, we're back.
Yep, we are back. Time always flies when we have a conversation.
It was good, yeah.
But I always encourage you, of course, to continue that conversation even outside of the sessions. It's just a starting point. It shouldn't be the end. It should be a starting point to certainly continue those conversations. And while people coming back, please feel free. If you're not sure, you can actually go to the top of your screen, click on options, I believe it is, or view options, and select annotation or annotate. And I would love you to just utilize the whiteboard and just share with us, what is it that you're going to take away? What is the key learning, or what is it that you're going to implement right now? Let's just collect those wisdom within your brain. So once you click on view option, select annotation, you should be able to get a bar with text boxes, markers. Yeah, Kim already get started there. More self-care. Awesome. Any questions, please feel free. View option.
View, where's the view option?
It should be just on the top of your screen
view options,
somewhere. Yeah. And then you click on annotation or annotate.
Oh, okay.
And then you should get a toolbar with markers, text box. And
okay.
you can just go crazy, type away, and just share your thoughts. Oh, look at this. Love it. More self-care. Take time each day to celebrate and be grateful. Balance your brain and your heart. Yes, as more connected it is, as better, as more authentic we are going to be. Be a realistic. Chip away, yes. It is okay to not be okay from time to time, as long we don't stay in that emotion for too long. And can I just say, we think we really have a wonderful community here. It is so much support around us. Sometimes we just need to have the courage to pick up the phone and admit and say, you know what, yeah, I'm not so okay. Can we just have a chat? Let's just stop pretending to be superhuman and to know it all. as almost Darren said before, recognize it's not business as usual. Let's create space for conversations, just like WBTA session. We're doing it here right now. Invest into relationships, as I said, maybe have a conversation, continue the conversation afterwards. Look for the blue collar as well. I love it. Yes. Have some clarity, focus on solutions, on taking responsibility, of just accepting things a bit more than pointing fingers. I love the heart there. Somebody's getting inventive with drawing. Be brave, but accept it will be scary. Yes. Everything new can be a bit scary. I can actually recommend, by the way, I'll just quickly, I'm back. There's a beautiful book by Susan Jeffers, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Sometimes we have a bit of a fear we are not even aware of. Before I read it myself the first time, I was like, I don't have any fear. What are you talking about? And then going through, it's like, oh, that sounds awfully like me. What she says is sometimes we just have to prove ourselves wrong. Let's go for it and celebrate that success, which is so important. Yes, feel the fear and do it anyway. Don't be afraid to reach out for help. Absolutely love it. Slow down, another beautiful thing. So there's quite a lot of great stuff that's coming out. Please let me take this opportunity to say thank you very much for having me, for sharing all those thoughts, for participating, for just simply being awesome. And I would like to just wrap things up here with, oh, look, I need to maybe quickly get out here. That's better because it stayed on. To quickly say, it would be absolutely awesome to have you back again for our second session. I hope you got a great value from today's session, hopefully triggered a bit something in your thoughts that you can implement and continue to work on. The next topic is remotely connecting and engaging with others. Let's talk about how can we connect even through online Zoom sessions and so on. How do we build rapport, in other words? I'm pretty sure going to be another great session where we can just exchange some of our wisdoms again. The session going to be on Tuesday, the 1st of September at 12 noon. So it's more a lunch thing. I think we're trying out a few different times. If you haven't done yet, please do sign up. That would be absolutely awesome to see you again and to build on what we've started. So that just really leaves me with saying once again, thank you very much. I'm going to hand back to Kim because I believe my time is up now. Have a wonderful day. Look after yourself. Take a risk, the safe one, stay safe, and I'm looking forward to see you again soon. Thanks, Kim, as well.
No worries. Thank you, Martin. That was really great. I can see in the comments that it's good, you know, even if you come and take one thing away, it's really great to, as you know, Amal said, come together and share thoughts and to let yourself know that everybody is, you know, different things, and people can be in the same space as what you are, and that you're not alone. So thank you so much for turning up to today's session and taking time out. I know some of you are so busy, but just thank you for turning up and being present and willing to learn and to understand more about how we tick as humans. And thank you, Martin, for such a wonderful session as well. So the link to the next one, as Martin said, I've just put the Zoom link in there, but there will be an advice that will come out through email. It's already on our Facebook page. I already know a couple of people have already registered, so thank you very much for that. We do have one or two topics that we haven't set yet, so if there are any thoughts of things that you would like to see, that you think that there will be value in reference to our members, you know, participating and hearing and sharing and, you know, being involved with, please shoot me an email. We'd love to hear what it is that you would love to learn more about. So thank you very much once again for coming today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thanks.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody. Have a good day.